like to bring the Monday, May 18th, 2026 Township of Hamilton Committee meeting to order. Please rise for the flags.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by transmitting notice of this meeting to the Press of Atlantic City, Star Ledger, and Atlantic County Record on January 6, 2026. Mr. Aiken?
Here.
Mr. Cheek?
Here.
Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Here.
Mayor Patelli?
Here. We have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. Proclamations, we have none. Guest presentations, we have none. Addition, deletion of late agenda items, we have. Additions, 8A business registrations, Boot Barn Incorporated, Consumer Square Shopping Center, that's Work Western Clothing, Boots, Accessories. 2, Cape Country Living LLC, 6953 Harding Highway, Home Furnishings, Furniture, Kitchen Dealer. 3, Jack Lyon, Transient Vendor License, Equipment Auction at ACRC, June 20th, 2026 through July 3rd, 2026. And 13C, Executive Session, Proposal to negotiate cell tower lease agreements, contract negotiations. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Appointment of municipal clerk. A resolution to appoint Jane Bash as our municipal clerk. I have a motion.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patelli?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And moving on to the administration of the oath of office to Jane Bash as our new township clerk for a 3-year term effective June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2029.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me for the oath. I, Jane Bash, do solemnly swear
I, Jane Bash, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments established in the United States
to the same and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people.
and in this state under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties
and justly perform all the duties
of the office of Township Clerk
of the office of Township Clerk
of the Township of Hamilton
of the Township of Hamilton
for the term
for the term
June 1st, 2026
June 1st, 2026
through May 31st, 2029,
through May 31st, 2029,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Early public comment.
We have Maria Newman for 4B, data center.
Good evening, Township of Hamilton Committee members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Maria Newman. I reside at 2317 Primrose Court, Mays Landing. I am here this evening to address the Township of Hamilton Committee on a matter of urgent public concern, the threat that data centers pose to our community, and offer a true solution that hopefully this committee would seriously consider. I come before you not only as a resident who cares deeply about this township, but as someone who has been closely following developments in our region that directly affect the health, safety, and quality of life of the people like myself who call Hamilton Township home. I would like to talk to you tonight about data centers, what they are, what they do to the communities around them, and what neighboring municipalities are already doing to protect their residents. I truly would like to encourage and propose that the Township of Hamilton would do the same. What is a data center? A data center is a physical facility that houses and runs large computer systems. They require round-the-clock cooling systems to manage temperature and humidity, backup generators in case of power outages, and in some cases, turbines for power generation. These facilities operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that constant operation comes with serious consequences. A data center under construction right now nearby in Vineland has already raised alarms among residents and community organizers throughout South Jersey. The concerns are not hypothetical. They are documented. They are measurable and with serious consequences and a true impact to the surrounding community quality of life. What data centers do to communities. First, your utility bills. According to an analysis by Bloomberg, in states with a high concentration of data centers like Virginia, electricity prices have increased as much as 267% over just the last 5 years. Why? Because utilities must rapidly deploy expensive infrastructure, power lines, transformers, and pay premium market rate prices for energy. That cost gets passed directly to residents and small businesses. Second, water consumption. New Jersey is currently under a drought warning as of April 3rd, 2026, according to New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This is not the time to invite facilities that consume water at extraordinary rates. A mid-sized data center consumes as much water as a small town. Larger ones require up to 5 million gallons of water every day, the equivalent of a city of 50,000 people. For context, a metadata center planned in Wyoming will use more electricity than every home in that entire state combined. We cannot afford to share our most limited resources with facilities of this scale. After that, data centers generate significant noise pollution, primarily from diesel generators and HVAC systems. Internal noise levels can reach up to 96 decibels, which is well above the 85 decibel threshold that is considered harmful to human hearing. This is a health hazard, and the air pollution is truly alarming. Exposure to data centers' air pollutants have been linked to hospitalizations, emergency room visits, increased medication use, lost school days, and lost work days. A recent scientific model projected that U.S. data centers by the year 2030 could contribute to nearly 1,300 deaths annually, representing a public health burden of more than $20 billion. These are not statistics about faraway places. This is our backyard, and these kinds of outcomes we are inviting in if we do not act now. Our neighbors are already taking action, and local governments in Logan and Monroe Township and the city of Millville have introduced and passed ordinances to ban data centers in order to protect their residents. Municipalities in Camden, Cumberland, Gloucester, and throughout South Jersey are moving to address this threat at the local level. The Township of Hamilton should not be left behind, and our residents should not be left unprotected. Tonight, I am respectfully asking this Township Committee to take a bold and necessary step, pass a resolution in support of banning data centers in the Township of Hamilton. Such a resolution would send a clear message that this committee prioritizes health, safety, and financial well-being of our residents. It would align Hamilton Township with the growing movement of South Jersey communities who are refusing to allow these facilities to take root without regard for the people who live nearby. We have an opportunity to get ahead of this issue before a data center is proposed for our township, before the construction begins, before the noise starts, before the water bills climb, and before the health consequences set in. So I ask you tonight, members of the Township of Hamilton Committee, is a resolution to ban data centers in the Township of Hamilton something you would consider supporting? Our residents are watching, our neighbors are acting, and the time to protect Hamilton Township is now, before we are forced to react rather than to lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? That's it? Okay, thank you. Moving on. Discussions, formal action may be taken. Presentation of the 2026 capital program and introduction of the 2026 capital bond ordinance. Brett?
So the 2026 municipal budget provides a required 5% funding for a $2 million capital ordinance. $2 million, it takes about $100,000 in money for our operating budget to fund this. This year we're looking to improve roadways in the town. We're actually working on phase 1 of this year's road program. We're going to go out later on in the summer for phase 2, hopefully pave in the fall. We have several roads and drainage improvements to make. We're also looking into recreation planning and expansion out at the Leapy Track in Cologne, and also into some public works equipment. So this year we're looking to pave about 1.25 million in roads. This would be part of the phase 2 program. Phase 1 is, like I said, currently underway. Most of phase 1 was funded last year through last year's capital plan. I talk about this every year, money that we've gotten in grants throughout the years to fund roads to offset the taxes that we set aside for paving. This year we're going to be using $206,000 in NJDOT funds for Babcock Road. We also got DOT money for sidewalks along Dennis Foreman Drive. We're actually applying for phase 2 to extend those out beyond Denmead. We also got $188,000 this past, I guess we got it. We just got that. Actually, it's Mizpah Road. That's a Mizpah Road phase 1. We got $188,000. Right now, we're putting a design together to go out to bid. We do plan on using some of the 1.2 to extend out the phase 1 Mizpah Road to try to get a little bit more paving out there. So this year, we're going to use $527,000 in grant money towards our road paving program. We plan on out at Leafy Tract, we plan on building a third hockey court. Bob's actually looking into the design for a third hockey court, what it would take to illuminate a third hockey court, scoreboards. The other thing that we're looking to do out at Leafy is an ADA playground, similar to what we're going to do at the Cove, but a little bit larger the size of the facility. And I believe this is going to include the deck system, and what else do we?
The walking path.
And
on the walls.
Right, and the walls around the court itself. We're going to purchase a new dump truck for Public Works this year. So Public Works breaks the town down into 7 sections. Police break it down into 5. We break it down. Public Works breaks it down into 7. Right now we have 6 dump trucks. We had one go out of service this year, and it was actually auctioned. We need to replace that. It was a 2005. We're going to use $150,000 from capital, and then $100,000 in our snow reserve fund. We have roughly $500,000 in there. We put around $125,000 a year into that fund. We did have a tough winter, but we do have extra money in there that we could use towards towards this truck. Essentially, it's a pay-as-you-go, using township funds instead of going out and bonding for the whole vehicle. As I talked about at the last meeting, we're going to purchase and outfit 2 police interceptors. This was pulled out of this year's capital program and put into the pay-as-you-go program. $160,000 that we won't have to bond this year. We also pulled out $45,000 for an admin vehicle that we're going to replace for planning and zoning and tax. So if you wish, tonight we'll introduce the capital budget. The next meeting, June 1st, we'll have the public hearing, and if there's no amendments, we can adopt. And roughly 20 days after adoption, on or about June 22nd, we'll be able to spend those funds. Any questions?
Any questions? Comments? Nothing? Do I hear a motion to introduce the budget ordinance 2136-2026?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes.
Moving on, Robert Goodman is going to give us a presentation on data centers. This is something that we've been kind of bouncing back and forth now. Robert gave this presentation to the subcommittee, the redevelopment subcommittee, 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Correct.
And I believe you made a couple of adjustments. And, go ahead and make that presentation to all of us.
So it's this is a little bit more along the dialogue line in the sense that it's going to provide a little bit more dialogue about what the incipient risks are with data centers. There's a short conversation with Council Witherspoon beforehand, explaining the framework that if this is something we have to respond to, and we certainly see that there's a lot of public interest here, and even yesterday the governor was speaking about this very issue. So it's very possible that there could be action be taken at the legislative level in the absence of that. We believe that Hamilton Township should take a pause, study, and understand the issue. As we know and have been advised, outright prohibitions could be challenged in court. If we take this approach and we take a careful, due diligent period for study and research and understanding, we can go through a phased process and decide whether we're going to prohibit or allow with prohibitions or allow with specific standards. So let me walk through this and explain it. The idea is that we should be prepared and not overreact to a lot of the risks that we're seeing in other communities. And obviously, what we've heard a lot about what happened over in Vineland has been somewhat unsettling, and this is not anything we would look to repeat. And if we were to allow something like this, it has to earn the public trust and accountability before them. So really, I see this at a high level, in terms of just evaluating the correct policy to support it, define the rules before an application defines them for us. Risk control, we should understand what the current capacity is, what the environmental and cost impacts would be before we make any commitment along these lines. And I see this as a four-path route, and that's just to start with a pause, step back, do the appropriate study with our professionals and what standards are out there, and start forming the early framework and scaffolding of what would be good policy if we had to respond to a data center application coming before us. So as part of this, it's going to belabor this, but I just want to kind of simply say that we're evaluating whether and how data centers should be considered. This is not approving development. This is to give the governing body the framework to understand what needs to be decided, what the risks are, can they be mitigated, and then, again, through a gated process, decide to either continue along that path or come up with an ordinance that has limited prohibition or full prohibition. Now, it's my impression, and I think we're mostly prone to this because we are the largest land area township in the state of New Jersey. And I can tell you that there's a lot of technology companies who are taking a look at that, who would be investing in data centers. And just understanding that, we're kind of a high profile for development. What's driving this is AI demand. And, we don't think that we may have, municipalities that prohibit it, but the future is going to go ahead. No one's going to stop using their cell phones and the computing power behind it. So if we have to step into the future, let's do it on terms that we know won't be, dangerous to our own residents. Anyway, as it stands today, we don't have any hard and fast rules around data centers. Nobody has approached us to date, but that could change. In terms of the gap, is what we lack today is we don't have any defined standards around this. And very few communities have actually done this work. There's kind of loose threads of it starting to emerge. I myself have identified at least 18 engineering standards that could mitigate these risks, but it doesn't give you the complete picture. We have to work in cooperation with power and utility providers to be able to enable a technology of this scale. It's pretty clear to me that Atlantic City Electric doesn't have that capacity today to support it. Anyway, the problem is that an application could be advanced before standards are adopted. I think if we give an appropriate time for study and research, we may be on the vanguard of being able to identify what those standards are, what they should be, and how we can kind of protect ourselves from any liability and the risk of any tort from an unfocused application coming in for a data center. This is going to impact energy, noise, as one lady advised. There's millions of dollars of water that are usually charged into a closed loop system like this that are permanently taken out of supply and have to remain so in order to be able to keep the cooling standards up. And then there's just the bigger issue about who's paying for all this. What we've seen in other communities, we saw this as early as maybe about a dozen years ago when, cyber mining started to take place in the Bitcoin frenzy. And we build these huge Bitcoin mining facilities, data, and all the expense ended up going on to the ratepayers, not to the developer. So we don't want to see cost shift like that happen. If somebody wants to come in and build a data center, they're going to have to pay for the infrastructure to support it. Anyway, again, I'm advising that we do not rush. We do not overreact. Let us get a framework around this. Let us define the rules and keep everyone informed about if this is going to happen, how it will happen, and if it doesn't, what we're going to limit and how it'll be limited. Again, I see this as 4 phases. I see an initial phase whereby which we're going to spend a lot of focus time on studying and research, and I'd like to be able, if you approve this measure tonight, to be able to come back in about 2 months' time and give you a report on where I think we need to go and what we need to focus on, and then an additional anywhere from 2 months to 4 months to really give it a very, very rigorous study. And from that, I think we can start seeing the initial framework of what policy would be involved. There's 2 ways we could do this. We could draft an ordinance with those technical standards. That's very, very involved. Probably with some discussions I had with our solicitor today, it might be better to actually have something that is like a standards manual that applicants would have to abide by, and just change the ordinance saying that anybody who does a data center has to abide by this standard. And that's going to be a little bit more flexible than trying to dump all these standards into the ordinance. Anyways, my thinking is that sometime by the end of the year, we'll have enough information to have studied this completely, establish policy if this is the direction that mayor and council would like to go, and come up with a decision. So again, pause ordinance, prevent, if we do something along the lines of an ordinance now, or in the next meeting or so, an ordinance that would provide a moratorium, or even a resolution that could support a study period, that will buy us time to get all the study and research done that we need to do. And it also shield us somewhat from, any data center developer coming in and, putting in a speculative application before we're ready to even take a look at it. This will, again, create more time for due diligence, and, we can say that we took our time to come up with the right policy to support this. In terms of what we'd have to study, there's 4 pillars I see that really have to be addressed. One is the available capacity that the utilities would be able to provide and in what time frame they could do it. I think the honest truth is, just in my initial take here, is that it could take as much as 5 to 10 years before ACE would be ready to be able to support this business. I'd be very surprised if they could build out that fast with all the given demands that they have today. There's also the idea of, if we were to allow this, what would be considered a suitable site? Well, the industrial business park comes to mind. It's an all-commercial area that is currently zoned for light industrialization. It has a natural buffer to homes and schools, and the parcel size are large that could support a data center. The other issues that we have to study is obviously around the water cooling, the noise, and the potential sound that these things can generate. And also, I think in this process, we'll probably have a much greater awareness of who's actually doing this work in the marketplace, and really starting to take a look at their performance in terms of how they do this in the communities where they are and what they're managing. Anyway, so there's a couple of tools that I see that would be needed. One is a utility impact study, and this is really one of the key questions that have to be asked up front for any developer thinking of bringing a data center anywhere. How can this be supported in terms of the power generation required to operate such a thing? The questions that really have to be answered is what the load profile would look like and what peak demand would look like. What's the existing grid capacity today? What upgrades are needed to be able to just deliver the power where it's needed? And, what does that timeline look like? The biggest question coming out of this is who pays? As a principle of policy, it should not be spread upon the ratepayers and residents of Hamilton Township. The next element that I see is, and it's really more of a fabrication out of whole cloth, and for lack of anything else that I can find out there, but I see something that would be called an infrastructure investment study in cooperation with the utility impact study. And this is the one where we'd really be taking a hard look at the standards to support the type of operation that would be tolerable. We'd be taking a look at what cooling systems are involved, what impact this may have on wastewater or gray water systems, within the township, what impact this would have on transportation, not only within a site, but how it impacts it around the site. Environment, as was noted earlier, some of the noise of these places, especially those that have cogeneration on site, the noise can raise itself pretty loud and can be heard quite a distance. We also just have to understand, is there going to be a net cost of being able to have this type of business in the town and ensure that it's not negative. Anyway, again, this is something, and this is where I've done a lot of the study, where I believe that a lot of the engineering standards could take care of a number of risks that are associated with this. But they'd have to be defined by the developer before we even get to a place where we can even consider it as a business. In terms of what I see as a deliverable at the very end of this is understanding the existing conditions, what the utility impact standard would tell us about local power providers. The standard that I just proposed before would give us a clear picture about infrastructure cost and what risks are being mitigated through approach of those practices. Approving what sites would be allowed if we were to allow them here in the township, and then work all that into drafting a framework ordinance to support this. And again, at the end of the day, you'll have the option to allow, limit, or prohibit based on that, but you'll have it fully informed. I won't belabor these, but these are the key risks that I see: grid capacity, ratepayer cost, noise, water cooling, and again, just the accountability that's required before the public if we have to contend with applications that want to do this type of development. And we have to understand what the possible paths are to mitigating those concerns. So in terms of actual policy development and getting behind this, we would have to basically define data center as a rather distinct use. It's different than any other type of commercial or industrial development that we've seen to date. Again, it has some similarities to cyber, Bitcoin mining, but these are much, much larger and on a scale that's really quite different. We'd also just have to be very careful about where we would allow these, how many would we allow these. We'd have to have these studies, the utility impact statement, as well as the infrastructure assessment, standards that they have to meet, and ensure that this cost of development doesn't, again, fall upon the ratepayers and residents of Hamilton Township. So again, at the end of the day, my belief is that if we follow this roadmap and this path and address these issues, mayor and council should be in a good position to make an informed decision about which way to go. And the way I see it right now is to allow, with strict conditions, and again, mitigating any risk involved, limit the scale of these potential applications, which may make it unattractive for developers, but it's our town. We get to set the standards. Or you can do as others, although it does possibly run a risk of tort liability, is prohibit them outright. But they'll be informed and be able to do so. At this point, I'll open it up to mayor and council if there are questions or areas of discussion that you'd like to understand better.
So, in talking with Ken and Robert, like right now, if somebody were to come in and wanted to do a data center, as long as it met everything zoning wise, there's really nothing we could do to stop it because we don't have anything.
The risk is that we'd make a bad decision through the board. That's the risk,
right?
And then that would invite litigation.
And that's what we're trying to avoid here.
That's correct, Mayor. As you see data centers emerging throughout the state and the country, it's better to be proactive rather than reactive. And because we don't have anything in front of committee or the planning board at this point in time in terms of an application, this will allow, if you chose to move forward, to put a temporary moratorium so that we can look into all of the potential issues that you see that are popping up with places that are putting data centers or doing a review, whether it be environmental impact, social impact, financial impact. There's a lot that could go into it. So by allowing us to slow down, take a closer look at this, it would allow us to be able to create those set of standards here in Hamilton Township and codify that by ordinance so that we have the ability to address it if we got an application in the future, rather than scrambling and reacting to one that when it arrives, if it does.
And on the other hand, if we just came out right now and said, no, we're not doing data centers, we could get sued because we didn't do our due diligence. And why did you decide that? Am I wrong? And
anytime that you do a blanket prohibition, especially for something, whether it be business related or any ordinance going forward, it's always my recommendation to any municipality to take the opportunity to do a full due diligence, determine whether there should be a full prohibition or it should be modified or it should just be open completely. There's no harm in doing a temporary due diligence prohibition because we have the ability to go through and obviously the professionals and your staff to be able to come back and advise you, give you the informed opinion so that you can make a decision based on that rather commission that has to do with potential challenges. So it would be my advisal, as well as speaking with pre-development council this evening, to do something to be temporary so we can determine whether you wanted to go full prohibition, restricted modification, or to say we didn't want to take any steps to block that.
Now, we could do a resolution, moratorium, and that would just be till the end of this year.
What
And
we,
at that time, hopefully, we would have enough information to move forward with an ordinance, or we could do another resolution, giving us more time.
that's correct, Mayor.
Hear me out. So an ordinance would cost. Ordinance is we don't want to do a bad ordinance.
That's correct. So
It costs money.
Ordinance obviously has a more financial burden on the township than a resolution would be. An ordinance is much more permanent, even though it can be repealed than a resolution. A resolution would sunset at a certain period of time. So if the committee wanted to move forward with a temporary moratorium per se until the end of the year, then we could obviously readdress it at that time. We could always readdress it early, but it would give us that due diligence period to be able to move forward. So the committee, as part of this discussion, wanted to direct us to move forward. We would have something, whether it be a resolution or some sort of quasi-ordinance, the next meeting to be able to come in front of you to say, this is what we recommend, and then we'd be able to answer any questions on that position. But I believe that we're pursuing and looking to a temporary resolution at this point in time. With the thought process of doing something, if you wanted to do either full prohibition or a modified prohibition in the future, an ordinance that would codify it into our standards here in Hamilton.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of questions, comments. I'm just trying to get it all together because this is a lot. I kind of did my own little study here, and I'm going to just read some stuff that I highlighted concerning these data centers in New Jersey. So I have here, data centers are driving up electricity prices for families and small businesses, and lawmakers can require them to pay more to offset those increases. But as it stands right now, there are no safeguards in place. Because of AI data centers, communities are facing higher costs, a more unreliable grid, more pollution, and a lack of transparency that makes holding these companies accountable nearly impossible. New Jersey families and small businesses are already paying to subsidize them through higher electric bills. Data centers use a significant amount of energy, but because of a lack of transparency in energy reporting, exact data is unavailable, and the energy usage of data centers can vary widely. Precise water usage figures are difficult to verify because data center companies are not required to report them publicly. This lack of transparency is a problem for a state that has experienced several droughts in recent years, including the 2024 to 2025 drought that resulted in crop losses and increased wildfire risk. Plus, we have farms here in Hamilton Township. So my point, where I stand with the data center situation, is that I don't want a data center in Hamilton Township. I don't even need to sugarcoat it. I want to be very transparent. I don't want a data center here in Hamilton Township. I would like to see if my colleagues would like to create an ordinance, making it a law that they can't come here like they've done in various other municipalities throughout New Jersey. And I'm saying this because I'm concerned about the quality of life, the amount of money that the working families here would have to put out to accommodate these electricities, the water cooling, the water bill. It's ridiculous. The environment itself. First of all, Hamilton Township protects the pine lands. So that's the situation. I mean, we need to consider everything. So I'm not going to sit up here and say we need to
do more research, we need to think about it, we need to, hold off and everything else. No, I don't want the Donnas that are here. I think we should create an ordinance, making it a situation where it does not come here at all, and that's where I stand at, so you guys can say where you stand at, but that's where I'm at with it. I'm on the record for saying that.
Rich?
No, I'm fine. I was fortunate enough to be here.
So my thoughts, I love the presentation. Like I said, they're new and upcoming, these data centers. So again, we don't know the ins and outs. I'm not totally against. I like the pause, what you're saying, for a year, I guess you guys were talking, to get some information together. And then when that information comes to us, we can decide whether we want to move forward or prohibit or limit. And I like that idea because, technology is moving quick, like I said, and who knows down the road if things will change, to where these centers are needed and they're changed to where they're better than these new ones that are coming out. Maybe something's going to be different. So, like I said, with the pause and finding out the information, I like that, and I think that's the right direction. I don't know legal-wise, like we were talking, if we were to kill this totally, somebody could come and, possibly sue us or something else. So, like I said, I like the pause to find the information on it and then move forward from there.
Yeah, and I'd also just state, I saw this breaking down into 4 phases, where we're going to have some definition around this. And these are your options at any one of those. We could get to 60 days from now and come before you with a report, and, you don't like what you hear or you think there may be too many risks. These are your options.
Correct.
You can stop at any time. Mayor's asked me to take a look at this. I'm certainly, doing my best to keep up with what's happening and understand the market a little bit better. Some of the things I'm finding are a bit surprising, and I'll be able to elaborate on that at the next report. But I would encourage at least going to the next phase, and get some more research behind this.
Like we said, getting in front of this, is perfect, because it's coming, so to have all this information would be so beneficial.
Yeah, and the mayor's request was actually somewhat prescient. It was even before there was all this coverage that we now see. So I'm kind of glad for the opportunity to, I think there's a way to kind of do this and do it the right way. If we can do it the right way, then you have the best of all choices.
Dr. Witherspoon?
I did like your presentation. I am not for data centers, for the record. Our lawyer, Ken Warren, said that we could possibly be in litigation if we haven't done our due diligence. And we want to make sure that we've done what we're supposed to do. My answer is still going to be no, whatever happens. But I want to make sure that we have done everything that we're supposed to do. So if someone comes in, and if our answer is to prohibit totally, we've done our due diligence. I do know that Atlantic City Electric, you talked about the grid, it cannot handle the solar right now.
That's correct.
So that's an issue. So to bring this in would be, it's nearly impossible, to do if they can't even handle the solar right now. So based on that, I do think we should do the study, but again, I'm not for it because all of this who would pay for it? We need to have all of that in place to make a quality decision. Even though I've already made my decision. No, but I still want the facts, to support the decision that I made.
Thank you.
I feel as if a temporary resolution is the way to go. These are worldwide companies coming in with worldwide law firms and everything else. We don't even know their game plan. We don't even know what their requirements are. He said temporary, we all have the same issues, we all have the same foresight, but we adopt something right now it's quite difficult to change it. Where if we do a 6 month, we can see where the trend is going. And we can combat the trend and make up what we want so that they have to come in and ask permission from us to do what they want to do. Then we can say no. We don't have that mechanism in there. They can come in and say, you don't have that mechanism, so how can you say no to this? And I mean, they have endless pockets. They can change the game worldwide in Washington. So as long as we keep the door open and we keep up with it, I think that would be our most economical plan rather than lock in. And in the year 2030, it's a whole different game. That's how I feel.
I have a question. So, if we do a resolution to, what did he say, to temporarily pause, then that would give you, our professionals, time to do the studies on what needs to be done.
Correct.
If I understand, but then we can always change that as well as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we can keep up with the times.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I need clarity. Because we talk about, somebody's saying something about litigation and lawsuits, and I'm just trying to, I need you, Mr. Solicitor, to please help me here. How do we have, or how are we preventing, or how is this, would it make it be a lawsuit or some kind of litigation? Where is that coming in from?
So what could happen is when you have a novel issue and it's not well informed in terms of putting together an ordinance through the codification process, if we don't cover all bases and we leave things open where there could be either loopholes or cracks through shield, I would say you could open yourself up to litigation as well if you don't do a period of due diligence. Take a look at all of the rationale behind putting together in a prohibition or a total ban. That could lead to issues in terms of litigation as well. So whenever we have something brand new, or we're saying for a specific business like this, we don't want it in Hamilton Township. It's always beneficial for us to take a look at the reasons why, so that when we put together the ordinance, and you've seen the ordinance where it has all the whereas clauses in there, it would be a well basis of a rationale why we do not want data centers here in Hamilton Township, and the steps that we took to be able to do the research and put in that prohibition. What we're asking the community to do is allow us to put in a temporary resolution for a moratorium, which means we hear your points of we don't want data centers here and now, but that resolution is temporary while we do our information and our research to be able to present back to you so that you can make an informed decision of saying, yes, we want data centers, no, we don't want data centers, or maybe we want data centers, but they're going to be restricted based on these specific specifications. And we would just like a little bit more time to be able to circulate and get that information for you.
But what prevents a company from coming in while we're on our temporary hold and buying up a whole bunch of land, and then all of a sudden we're doing our research? They bought the land. We can't stop them. Can't they come in and just buy the land? And then we look up and they say, all right, well, we have the land. We want to just put it there because we don't have an ordinance on file saying that we don't want the data centers to come here anyway.
So I guess we're going to put together something in the next meeting, whether it be ordinance resolution for a temporary basis rather than a permanent prohibition. So we're going to put a moratorium of saying we don't want data centers here in Hamilton Township for this period of time. Before the expiration of that period of time, I'm sure myself, Mr. Goodman, will be coming back at different intervals based on the phases that he just outlined of reporting back to you for you to make the determination whether you want that moratorium or prohibition to be permanent or whether you want it to be restricted and modified, or whether you want us to pull it back and say, no, based on the research, we would allow data centers here in Hamilton Township. So we're going to put a temporary freeze in place with your permission at the next meeting or the meeting after, so we can draft it saying no data centers for this period of time as we go through the due diligence. And then you're going to make an informed decision before the expiration of that period of saying yes data centers, no data centers, but maybe if they fit these qualifications.
And if I may add a rejoinder, just simply about commercial real estate development. And as we know, there's only one zone in the township right now that could support it, conceivably, and that's the industrial business park. And virtually every land sale that goes on there a contract is written to purchase, but it's usually contingent on obtaining approvals, especially on bare land. Nobody wants to get locked into owning land that they can't use. So I don't see that. I understand the concern. I don't see that scenario emerging, but nonetheless, Mr. Solicitor is correct that this will, if someone decide to say we won't hear their application or won't take their application for a data center while we have a resolution like this in place, a judge would dismiss it out of hand, saying this is a reasonable thing. These people are trying to figure out the best way to do this, and they should be allowed to do it.
But are we, okay. So have you even set a limit of, I'm listening to you, but I'm just saying, so are you saying, Mr. Director, that you're going to come back the next meeting with more information?
I think I'm going to need about 60 days to give you a much more detailed understanding. If you told me to find a way to prohibit data centers, I'd go do that. Mm-hmm. But I've been asked to kind of weave an unusual navigable course that doesn't preclude it and doesn't approve it. I'm trying to come back to you with facts, things that you can make decisions on.
But just for clarity purposes, we're going to come back in front of you with either a resolution or a basis or ordinance to be able to say we're putting a temporary moratorium on data centers. So that will be coming in front of you either at the next meeting or the one thereafter, setting that so we can go through the due diligence. So if you'd like us to move forward, that'll move quickly for you, saying no data centers for this period of time at the very least in Hamilton Township. So that'll move quickly.
That'll move tonight, or that'll move?
No, that won't move this evening. It's only on for discussion this evening. It'll have to be at the very quickest the next agenda. But it's not in front of you this evening. It's only on for discussion.
And I just feel it's some kind of gray area here that I know I'm missing, because if we're saying, to me, it seems like some of us are saying we don't want them, and then some of us are saying, well, let's just see what the technology is out here and then go from there. But then we're also saying we might not even have the land, but then we're saying that we need time to see and talk about it. Meanwhile, some people said that they can just come in and buy the land. Like once somebody comes in here and buy the land, with the technology, some of them, they don't need to be as big as, I guess, the other ones they have. You know what I mean? Because there's new technology coming all the time. So they don't need a mass amount of land, too, for some of them. You know what I'm saying?
Just because they purchased land in township does not give them the right to build a data center. It doesn't fit within our code or within our allowable usage.
Okay.
Property and zoning. So essentially, what an ordinance, a permanent ban ordinance, would do is create the zoning so that it would not be permitted use in that, either in that area or township wide. So that would be a permanent prohibition. That's what we're looking for to see whether township wants to do that. At this point, we're putting potential developers on notice of saying, while we're going through our due diligence period, no data centers. So that's what a temporary prohibition or temporary moratorium is. That's what we're asking the committee to allow us to do as of right now, saying during our due diligence period, no data centers. At the end of that due diligence period, the committee will make a decision of whether that prohibition is going to be permanent, whether it's going to be modified, or we say, well, we like this, but we don't like this. That's the development specification. Or, based on our research, we're fine with data centers. We're going to allow it in Hamilton Township. That will be at the end of that due diligence period. But At the immediate moment, because this is an emergent issue, it's been brought, we were tasked to bring this in front of you, saying, because of the concerns we have, we want to pause and say no data centers at the moment in Hamilton Township. Let's do that while we go through a due diligence period. So that's what will come in front of you the next meeting or the one thereafter, hopefully by the next meeting. It is a resolution or ordinance saying no data centers as of right now while we go through that due diligence.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Goodman, Director, your presentation is awesome because, you know, it's a wealth of knowledge. You know, it's just basically I'm just looking at quality of life. I'm just thinking about.
I think you're raising very, very important issues that we
Right.
have to address. I mean, I've got a handful of categories that represent things we have to resolve, but I suspect we're going to find a bit more as I do more research, and that's what I would like to bring before you at a later date, so you can, again, make an informed decision.
And you think you need about 60 days?
I think so, yeah. I think I can be back here probably by the end of July, I believe.
Okay.
Most likely.
No matter what you guys do, we're going to be in a much, the township is going to be in a much better situation than they were 20 minutes ago. This is completely proactive.
Yeah.
No one called and asked, you know, what are the chances of me building a data center in the township? This is something that we talked about at redevelopment, came up in discussion, and we want to get ahead of it. So we want to pause this until we get, Robert looks into this, Ken looks into the legalities of banning it, make sure we're not going to get sued like anything else, like with the canvassing. No one likes the canvasser knocking on the door at 7 o'clock. When canvassing first started, how many years ago did canvassing first start? It would have been easy to say, I don't want canvassing. We don't want canvassing. We probably would have got sued if we passed an ordinance that said no canvassing. We have to make sure the lawyers look into it. We all look into it to make sure that we're not putting ourselves at risk by liable for our decisions.
Exactly. Are you?
All right, so is there a time frame date? I know you say 60 days, but is resolution going to say from this period to this period?
Yeah, so the resolution for a couple more have expiration.
Okay.
We will need to make a decision before the expiration date of whether you want to make a permanent prohibition of data centers modified or saying that we just want to lapse or okay with data centers. So we'll, no matter what, if it wants to move forward that moratorium, it will come back to you before the expiration date.
And the expiration date, you're looking like,
My suggestion would be by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic time frame.
But that doesn't preclude the committee from making adjustments.
right,
We could change that.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see this is that you're going to be exposed to new facts. I know I am. And I'm going to be bringing them here for presentation for you to understand. And those facts may have you want to change the timeline, may want to change the direction, or go down any one of these three paths. You know, you'll have enough information, you may believe you have enough to decide this. So that's why the idea was kind of phase this out. And if we get as far as defining standards, then, you know, we're being, as Brett said, we're being proactive. We're identifying the risk and we're looking to solve them. You know, something that my colleague here, Bob Watkins, just shared is that, you know, the practical reality is that if somebody came in today with an application, it'd have to be heard before the zoning board because it would require a use variance. Not only that, it most likely would have to go through the redevelopment committee because it's kind of a new beast and would be certainly outside the scope, and there may be special accommodations that would be necessary to support it. And I think the thing that's a little bit more terrifying is if that happened, we'd have to be kind of doing this with a gun to our head. We'd have to be making these standards up on the fly. And I can assure you it would be imperfect and risky. So, again, I think this approach is a little bit more cautious. Again, if we just keep bringing facts to the table and you decide which direction you want to go, nobody can nobody can sue the township for taking a reasonable, rational way to do this.
Anyone can sue the township.
Well,
Take it from the lawyer.
Yeah, and I think we're in a good spot right now because there's other municipalities that are doing the same thing. They're investigating. They're probably, I'm going to assume, they're drafting ordinances. And as those ordinances start to come to light, we will be able to take that information, learn from it, move forward from that, and see what happens there. Also, I've been looking at this for quite some time. Like Robert said, I brought this up and said, I think we really need to dive into this and figure out what's true and what's not true. You go on the internet, and that's basically how you learn. You go on the internet and start looking, and if you want to be against these things, you can really quickly find all kinds of facts to prove that you don't want them. And if you want to be pro data center, you can find all kinds of facts that say data centers are good. So it's time to really, this is that Robert, Bob, whoever else, start looking into this, find the facts. Because I go on and here I am. I'm using AI to learn a lot of this stuff. AI will tell me some things, and I'll take that and I'll go, all right, now I'm going to go in that direction. So I guess I'm guilty of us needing data centers. So I guess if the data centers really started to learn and became Terminator, they could kind of guide me on where they want me to go. But that's why I want somebody who has. I hope Richard Pearson isn't listening, but I did that at Richard's time. Somebody who's actually doing it on the time that they're supposed to be doing it and can actually really work and do the due diligence that we need done. I hear Minniewoman Witherspoon and Dr. Witherspoon, Minniewoman Thompson saying, they're against it. If I had to make a decision right now, I'm against it. But I also want more information to guide us on where we need to go. And so I think moving from here, I think the right thing to do would be a resolution pausing it through the end of the year. Because I don't know if we did it, could we do it further than that, or would a resolution, because it's the end of the year?
Most likely it will sunset.
Right, it would sunset. So I think that's the furthest we can go with a resolution. If we went the ordinance,
The ordinance will be in place until you repeal it.
and like I said, it would take longer to make that happen, cost us a little bit more money. So I make the suggestion that we do a resolution pausing data centers through the end of the year. Well, obviously we can't do that tonight, but asking you to go ahead and do that.
I'll work with Reed on that.
Is everybody okay with that?
You like that? You like that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Very good. Robert, thank you for your presentation. It was awesome.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Thank you,
You're welcome.
Director Goodman.
Moving on, 4C. Resolution authorizing renewal of Class 5 cannabis retail license to Columbia Care New Jersey LLC, also known as the Cannabis. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Abstain.
You abstain? Okay, 4 yes, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Okay, 5A. Public hearing ordinance 2133-2026, an ordinance amending Chapter 60, Officers and Employees, Article 26 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton to create the position of Municipal Enforcement Officer and establish the qualifications, powers, and duties. This is a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak?
Motion to close.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Sure.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
5B, public hearing ordinance 2134-2026, an ordinance amending Exhibit A to Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton, the Township of Hamilton's Chart of Organization to provide for the creation and amendment of certain positions and maximum salaries, municipal enforcement officer, administrative enforcement officer, and Cove deputy day manager. So public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak?
Close public.
I have a motion to close.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. What's your pleasure?
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Ordinance 2135-2026, an ordinance amending Article 1 of Chapter 301, subsection 3 regarding parking restrictions on certain streets of the Code of the Township of Hamilton to allow for a temporary suspension of parking enforcement for certain events. This is a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak?
Motion to close public.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. It's your pleasure.
Motion ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Just one question. Certain events, do we have an example of an event that we were talking about?
Boat races,
Boat races. Okay.
cardboard boat regatta.
Right. Got it. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
No introductions, no award. Consent agenda.
B through.
Just under consent agenda. Yeah, and then the new stuff.
Motion A, 1 through 3 to E,
You said 1, 2, 3, hold on.
1 through 3.
What, you mean A through?
A, 1 through 3,
So
On
it'll be
the, on the
B.
late agenda.
on the late agenda,
Oh, okay.
through E.
Second.
So I have a motion for 8A through E.
I thought he-
And we have a second.
Yeah, I got the second.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Personnel, resolution to amend 2026-0173 that was passed May 4th, 2026 to correct a typographical error on the higher Cove staff for 2026 season.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
9B, be resolution to hire Nadine Irwin as a full-time planning and zoning clerk for the Department of Community and Economic Development effective June 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Approvals. Minutes, regular meeting minutes of May 4th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Bills, bill list total $7,668,148.63.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Reports. Mr. Administrator.
I just want to congratulate you. Solid deputy, and she's going to be a great municipal clerk. Congratulations. That's all I have.
Mr. Solicitor.
I agree with the administrator. Thank you.
Mr. Engineer.
I agree as well. Congratulations, Jane. Just a couple of updates on the roads. So River Road and Gravelly Run were milled today, and they will be paved on Wednesday morning. So they should be all cleaned up before the weekend.
Oh, we had some base repair out there.
There's a
little
little
bit.
bit of base repair on River Road. They did that today. Unfortunately, Gravelly Run was very thin asphalt. We were surprised how thin it was. It was only an inch and a half. So there's a couple areas there that we're going to box out and thicken up a little bit, but nothing too drastic. Dennis Foreman Road bids are coming on Thursday, so we'll have a report for next meeting on those. And I want to thank Mr. Goodman for that data center presentation. A neighboring municipality is working on the same information as well, and I'll be happy to work with Mr. Goodman on this. It's definitely something that's coming no matter what, and we want to be ahead of it. And like he said, it's prohibited. It could go to a zoning board application, and whether it gets presented and the board denies it, it could probably end up in court if it was in a zone that's similar in use, like the industrial park. And even though it's not permitted there, it does hold you liable for it. So this, putting a pause, basically warns the developers, listen, just wait. And we're going to do our due diligence. So I just want to thank him on that. I agree.
Township committee members. Dr. Witherspoon.
Again, first I would like to also congratulate Jane. And so I know that you've already been doing the work, and we know that you'll continue to do a great job. So congratulations. I attended the mixer supported by the Rotary Club and the Maysland and Murchison Association at Lake Lenape a couple of weeks ago. It was very nice. It was very, very nice. And ACEA was there. And it was really nice how they had all of the resources and the businesses and all of that. It was just a nice event. It was a nice event, and I was glad to be there. I attended the Atlantic County Prosecutors Interfaith Prayer breakfast at the Linwood Country Club on Friday. That was very nice. There was a lot of law enforcement and some interfaith people there, and what they're trying to do, this is the fourth one, is to bridge the gap between interfaith and law enforcement. And so the idea was good. It was very nice. And while I was there, someone says to me, I'll see you at the ribbon cutting at 2 o'clock. And I said, what ribbon cutting? They said ACIT. I said, well, I didn't know anything about that. And so, but I will go. So I ran to the township first to make sure that there was not an invitation inside my mailbox that I didn't look at. Then I went and looked at my email to see if anything was there. There was nothing there. So I did attend and represent Hamilton Township. It was at the last minute, but I showed up and sit on the front row. It was a very, very nice event. It's 153,000 square foot facility, state of the art. Everything was done by the youth from ACIT. They sung the national anthem. They gave you a cornerstone as a gift. The youth prepared the hors d'oeuvres. It was very nice. I have to say, Superintendent Dr. Gunther did apologize for not recognizing me as an elected official. But I didn't get bent out of shape. I just said okay. I just said it was okay. Yeah. I mean, well, really it wasn't, but it was okay. But he did apologize for that. So, but I did represent Hamilton Township. I did. You didn't see me in the ribbon cutting because they didn't invite me up there, and I didn't want to bust my way up. Push my way through. You don't do that. I have a little class here. But I was there and I smiled and I was happy about it. And it is a beautiful place, and they did do a tour. So if you haven't been there, it's something that you do want to see. And they can have an additional 450 students, and that's good. Of course, the schools don't like it because they're taking money from the school districts. But parents have a right to have an option, and so do children. Everybody's not going to go to college, So it's a beautiful thing. It used to be VOTEC, now it's ACIT. All right, so that was beautiful. Monday, Memorial Day, will be at, I'll let the mayor talk about all three locations.
Go.
No. No. Only reason why I'm talking about the one at Memorial Park is because I'm singing the national anthem.
Good.
At 12 o'clock. All right, so I'll be there 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Thank you. At 11 o'clock, they will be having the memorial service on that day. So at the Memorial Park, the Veterans Service at the Memorial Park on Memorial Day at 11 a.m. All right, and that's my report.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Aiken?
Me?
Sure.
So first, I want to thank the volunteer fire companies out there, the rescue squad, the HTPD, and the township dispatchers. I'm not much of Facebook, but I did see it on there that you all worked as a team with some issues that were in the township. I like to see that teamwork together. It's great. I always say teamwork makes the dream work, and it was nice to see you all working together. I know there was that fire out in Estelle Ave out there, and that's where I think the teamwork came into play. So I just want to say thanks to them. I want to say congratulations to Committee Woman Dr. Thelma Witherspoon on her Peg Roberts Outstanding Elected Official of South Jersey Award. Congratulations. I know you're always out and about. You go everywhere, here, there, left, right, up and down. I am shocked that they didn't recognize you over at ACIT with all what you do and all you get. So okay. I just wanted to say congratulations on that.
Thank you.
My last thing, it's something different. I just wanted to give a shout out to Allegiant Air. So I flew them out of ACY, not this past weekend, the last weekend before, to Florida. I seen my niece's graduation from college, and I had absolutely no problems flying out of ACY with them. So I just want to give them a shout out. It was maybe a 10-minute blip of hesitation at ACY for departure, but other than that, smooth
I had
in.
to throw that in there, didn't you?
It was 10 minutes, nothing. Smooth in, smooth out. We didn't fly into a big airport. It was the Orlando Sanford one we flew into. But I give them a shout out, and hopefully they continue to grow. I know I'm hearing different things with Sun Country and all that, breezes now, and so it's a good thing. So I just want to let everybody know I had a good experience with Allegiant out of there. So, and that's my report.
Very good. Committee Woman Thompson?
All right. So, I attended the regional business-to-business mixer on May 6th, which was right here in Mays Landing by Lake Lenape. I was able to make some contacts and engage with a provider whom I believe will be of value to our workforce development community, which I have to talk to you about, Brett, in the future. So on May 9th, I was at the Resource Fair and Carnival, which was at our George Hess School. My time there was so much fun, surrounded by pony rides, crafts, and musical activities. Plenty of families were there attending, and they received a ton of information from the more than 50 resource tables. On the same day, I ran over to the Oak Fest and was engaged with the chocolate chickens from Hamilton Sustainable Team, where I learned from Susan Lazarchuk, who's right here, just so happens to be, that these are a rare breed of chicken. So I was really fascinated by these chocolate chickens and everything, along with a lot of other information that she was giving me about the chickens. It was a great pleasure meeting with the members of the First United Methodist Church, which is on 6011 Main Street, Mays Landing. They're also known as the church that does stuff. So I told them I was going to shout them out. They are the church that does stuff with Pastor Robin Clark. They provide the community with, when they were there, they were providing the community with packets of seeds to plant a variety of beautiful flowers. I will note they also maintain Main Street Food Pantry. On the past Saturday, I went to the Holy Cross Cemetery. It was Armed Forces Day, and I was there and to give a prayer and put flags on the veterans' tombstones, which I always feel a lot of pleasure, and I feel like because I come from a veterans family, that this, is something that we need to do to honor our veterans, and to also, when we do, like they do the wreaths or we do flags or anything I usually shout their names out. I read their names, their family names on the tombstone, and then I say, you are not forgotten, and I say, God rest your soul and your spirit. So I think that's very important that we do that. Finally, I would like to make an announcement that the Mays Landing Merchants Association presents the 27th annual hometown celebration. It's going to be on Saturday, June 27th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the War Memorial Park here in Main Street in Route 50. I also want to shout out, I remember reading something with Director Tilley and Brett. One of the constituents was talking how well they were maintaining the park, and they was like Brett was very responsive, and how he called about, doing things and cleaning up and stuff at the park, and he was really happy about the service he received from our business administrator, and he was happy about the work that the Public Works had done. So we did receive acknowledgement in a letter, and I wanted you to know that. So thank you so much. And that's it.
Deputy Mayor?
First of all, congratulations to Jane. It's quite great that you fill in a big set of shoes, and it's nice to have you. Next I was at the business-to-business mixer at Lake Lenape, and that was very nice as well. Then it was cleaning Babcock Road. Everyone get a Wawa bag, please.
Keep it in your car.
Yes, it's the second or third time I did Babcock, and it was nice. And then from there, went to the Oak Fest, which was just as nice, and always that's a nice event. Then I went to the first time the Atlantic County Rowing Championship at Lake Lenape. And being an athlete and a family of athletes, it's just nice to see young high school kids with their families in a pure environment, just the whole family enjoying themselves. And it was just nice to see first-class county athletes. Then last, on Sunday, I will not be at Memorial Park to hear you, Doctor.
On Memorial
Monday.
Day.
Oh, it's Monday?
Yeah.
I thought it was Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, I have a daughter turning 40. I got to be there.
Yeah. No.
I'll be there Monday then, I'm sorry. And that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. I also attended that mixer. That was nice to have it here in town. It's really good to have all those people come there that and meet different people and get to know what resources are out there. And over at Lakeview Manor shows off that the park there. And it's a really nice park. Attended Oak Fest, picked up trash with Rich. Went to the resource fair. That was a very busy day. Also went to the rowing championships and was fed quite well by the Oakcrest team. So I'll tell you what, those people know how to put some food out, and there's no doubt that's those regattas, especially that one. That's a big one. It's always on Mother's Day. It brings economic activity to our town. There's no doubt about it. There's thousands of people there all day, almost all day long. So it's nice that they come here and they do that. I also went the past 2 weekends were the Robert D'Onofrio street hockey tournament, and that's 2 weekends long. Actually, I think they play some games during the week too. Teams from New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all over. I think it was over 70 teams, and that's another economic driver for our town. They're going down. I was walking around there. You hear the people talking. They're going down to the Olive Garden. They're going to the mall. They're shooting over to Dick's to pick up another hockey stick. You hear it. They had food trucks out there. Really great to see that. And every year that tournament seems to get bigger. So that's really great to see that happen. As Eric said, shout out to our first responders, Estelle Avenue. I also want to give a shout out to Richland, who helped cover because one of their firefighters was injured. I don't know if you've heard anything how he is. I know it was just a cut on his hand, but nonetheless, volunteer firefighter got hurt, and we hope he doesn't have any long-lasting problems with that. And thanks to all of them. I think Dorothy was out there too, correct? No Dorothy? Okay. Well, thanks, Dorothy, anyway. You come out there. Mil May, yes. So thanks to Mil May. Good job, you guys. That was middle of the day. That's one of the ones that you get scared about, and you guys did a great job. Did I have something else? Memorial Day was already talked about. Looking forward to that. And Jane, congratulations. I hope you'll stay with us for a while. I'm sure you will. And I guess we'll be saying goodbye to Rita at the next meeting or the meeting after that. We're going to have a little something for Rita, I hope. Okay. And Reagan, I will see you later. Maddie, I miss you and I love you, and I hope to see you soon. And with that, we'll open it up to public.
Wanted to take a quick moment to thank the Township Committee for listening to my comments earlier. I appreciate your spirited conversation concerning the matter. I really do. As a resident of Hamilton Township, I'm here. This is where I live, where I work, where I'm raising my babies, and everything's important to me, and not only me.
Can you speak into the mic so that the
neighbors,
people at home can hear you?
I got you. I'm so sorry about that. So earlier I wanted to be respectful of the time and the order of the agenda. I do have copies of my statement, and I'd like to hand them out. Again, I just wanted to say thank you for a very, very spirited conversation and that it's being considered. Thank you.
And thank you for coming and speaking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello,
Hi, Sue.
Susan Lazarchik. You know my address or?
Nah.
All right, Susan Lazarchik. I live up Brett. Brett's my neighbor. Absolutely. With the data center, I hope you figure out a way to do a moratorium, whatever you do with resolutions or whatever. I don't know that all of you have heard, Lake Tahoe residents are losing their energy supplier to data center boom. Atlantic City Electric, we know, Dr. Witherspoon mentioned it, can't handle it. The grid can't handle it. I think our previous governor was depending on offshore wind, and poof, that's not happening. But anyway, can't handle it. Questions about it. Who pays for electric grid upgrades? Will local residents face higher utility bills? I mean, they can't handle their electric bills now. We've got amazing aquifer. We got to take care of it. Water, all that stuff. So I hope you find a way. I mean, I know we need the ratables, but at what cost?
Yep.
Like you, I like looking at AI, but at what cost? I mean, Microsoft, Apple, Google, they don't care about us. They don't care about any of us. They're doing their thing. Anyway, and the other thing I wanted to mention, and the other thing with that, it's like, make sure if you're considering this, I mean, I don't know how much more data you need. It's out there, but make sure that you require full public disclosure of projected energy and water use, independent environmental impact studies, that kind of stuff. I mean, it sounded like in Vineland, a lot of the public was blindsided over it, what happened. They made deals behind, I don't have all the facts with that, but that's my understanding. As far as road stuff, I was thinking, I don't know if you work with Cross County Connection anymore, if you're doing any work with them, because they offer, and I'm mentioning that because I certainly, as a resident, as transportation becomes more expensive, as people are, can't afford to drive cars, maybe, I think we need to consider bicycle and pedestrian. And I know years ago we wanted to do, look at that, to do an audit on that. But Cross County Connection, I just did a little screenshot. For local governments, if you don't know, and Patrick Farley came, we did a
walk. Yeah.
We did the walk with Patrick Farley. He's amazing. He knows everything. The Cross County Connection offers for local governments bicycle, pedestrian planning and safety, road safety audits. They can help with grant services. I mean, they're a good resource. I hope you're using it. And that walk that we did, I mean, the Green Team's website page is a little outdated, needs to be updated, but if you look down, hidden down there,
that report's in there.
Information's there, and there's a lot of good information. And Patrick he's just amazing. He knows a lot of information. I hope you look at that's there, and consider, hooking into, I don't know how much money they have, how much funding, because funding's getting cut, but it's a good resource that I hope, if it's still available, that you utilize it. So,
as a matter of fact, we worked on a letter to the county for Main Street, trying to get a crosswalk at Anthorn.
Good.
And trying to get them to repaint the existing striping that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been going back and forth now for how long? We've been kind of back and forth, and finally we were told, put it in writing, send it to Dennis Levinson, which we did today. And hopefully at least we get some of that moving, because we have economic activity on Main Street now. It's building up.
Yeah, keeping pedestrians in mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was one of we walked down Main Street. We talked about that, different things that could be done. Yeah. It's you kind of think that it's something that you can snap your fingers and it happens. That's just not the case.
Of course
that we don't own that street, and even streets that we own, we can't just, there's things that you have to do.
When I used to do dog training, it was repetition.
Well, there's a lot of repetition.
While we're paving, I was up in Monroe Township. I go up there occasionally. There's an organic farm that I love. They've got so many pedestrian, on the side of the road, they're green stripes. I mean, I don't know how much more it would be to maybe do some striping but anyway, that's, just wanted to mention Cross County Connection. It's a good resource. And keep the pedestrians in mind.
We'll look into it.
And we were going to look into that redbud tree for the baby too.
So I wanted to ask you, did you, right out front, there's a tree there already?
There is a tree there already.
Right? Are you talking about the little
little circle?
Where the handicap walk is?
Yeah.
There's a tree in there already.
So what is it?
How long has that tree been there?
Wait, I'll go look. Is it?
Go look.
Because it wasn't there last time I looked. Anyway, I hope it's a native.
I just want to make sure we're looking at the same thing.
I don't know.
So
I'll
take a
go
look and you let me
will.
know.
I hope it's a native tree if it is. All right. Thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Teresa DeRose from Mays Landing, Laureldale. Data centers are like eating the cake without trying to get fat. You know, you want all the stuff, the AI, and you want all the bitcoins, you want all that stuff, but you don't want to get fat because they're really troublesome for the environment. They really, now they are, as far as jobs, when they want to make them, there are a lot of jobs because they have to clear all the trees, they have to buy the land. It's, a lot of money going in. But then once they're established, there's no jobs. It's like maybe 5 people running the place because they're already, what is there to do? It's already self-contained, like nuclear power plants. It's only a few people you need to do it once they're established. But so with the foreseen revenue, establishing them, once they're established, they're not really giving us anything but more bills. And then even though the presentation with Robert Goodman was very good, I did a presentation years ago on electromagnetic fields. So with all this data center, they're going to be emitting a lot of electromagnetic fields, such as when they tell you don't put the cell phone in your front pocket because you get testicular cancer. Don't keep them on your ear all day long because you get brain cancer. Well, these data centers, as big as they are, how much extra electric is going out into the atmosphere that's going to be causing, because usually like trees are going to buffer, trees, rubber, whatever are going to buffer absorb the electromagnetic fields. If we're cutting down all these trees and putting in the Amazon fulfillment center and everything else, what's going to be, offsetting these electromagnetic fields because they cause brain cancer and everything else.
The good thing about Amazon, we're not cutting the trees down.
That's true.
Yeah. And then there was another thing about the leafy field. If we're going to put another field there, are we going to be charging the kids from other towns?
We already do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like help with the trash cleanup, stuff like that. To help with our property taxes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. There's no tree in that little circle, and if you wanted to, I would certainly be happy to advise on something nice and something native. If you wanted something, a shrub or something nice in there.
Don't even say that. I heard that.
What?
You don't want to know.
Maybe I do.
No. She's going to clobber you, Brett, and I'm going to let it happen.
No, I said Bradford pear just to get it.
Oh. Yeah, we have there's lots of those. Mr. Cheek, did you pick up cigarette butts when you were?
Yes.
So you know that one of the new green team members.
Sorry.
One of the new green team members is working on a cigarette butt.
I was walking with her. That's why I was picking up cigarette butts.
Good.
She shanghaied me. You want to know about the filter?
I know about
Okay.
the I know. So good. All right, that's it.
Anybody else?
Motion to close.
There we go.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? We will be going into executive session. We do anticipate formal action coming out. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Oh, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? You good?
Jane?
Sure. Hear a motion to come out of executive?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Now what? MOU. Oops, sorry. I hear a motion to approve the MOU for PBA contract.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patel?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You have to do, okay. So moved.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at the towers.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
What makes a good volunteer? Someone who's very dedicated, loyal, somebody who understands that there's a commitment involved, and they have to have the support of their family as well to be able to come and go at the drop of a dime when somebody else is in need. My name is Glenn Warner.
My name's Larry Birch.
I'm Frank Roby.
Hi, my name's Louis DeMartine.
My name is Christy Litzy.
And I'm recently appointed as the new fire administrator for the Township of Hamilton.
I've been with the department for almost 30 years and a senior captain.
I'm one of the safety officers for the department as well as a firefighter.
I'm the chief of the Mays Landing Volunteer Fire Company.
I am firefighter and secretary of the Weymouth Volunteer Fire Company.
I started doing this when I lived up in Maine, where there's very few people. The town I lived in was 230 people, and so they were looking for help, and so I volunteered.
My biggest inspiration to volunteer is to help other people, help the community.
Back in October of '73, I don't know, I seen the fire trucks going around town and everything like that, and I was really interested, and then I joined, and it's been 51 years later, I'm still here.
It's something I grew up with. My father is 40-something years with our company. I grew up with the Ladies Auxiliary as well, and then 5 years ago I decided to go through the Fire Academy as well. It's just something that's ingrained in me.
It's important for people to get involved with their community because this is where we live. This is everybody. It's your neighbors helping neighbors. And if nobody's there, right now volunteerism across the country is down. And it's getting to the point where if somebody called and needed the help, but nobody's coming out.
The volunteer is running very low, so we are always looking for volunteers to help out.
I think everyone needs to do that. There's not enough people right now volunteering for whether it's fire department or other things, and people need to get re-engaged into helping out the community.
Well, anybody can be a volunteer if they're willing to put the time in. You have to be committed, and it's a big commitment you're going to take, but it's very interesting and we have a lot of fun.
Your local fire company, find out what their meeting nights is. Ours are Monday. Each company in our township has a different night, and you just show up and you talk to them and you meet with the chief and all the guys and kind of get a feel for it and see if it's something you'd be interested in.
So you could go to the town hall over here and talk to the fire administrator, and he'll set you up with an application.
If you want to become a member, we also do junior members. Yeah, come down here Tuesday night and get an application.
it's really important to step up for your community. And even if you don't do it on the fire side, there's EMS, there's all different services, public services that you can do. And we need the next generation to come up and start taking the helm.
We've had many impacts, motor vehicle accidents where we help people get out of cars, fires where we help save property, animals that we pulled out of houses.
You don't get paid for it, but the payment that you get inside is worth it completely. And it's one of those things, if I didn't volunteer, who would be here to take my place, and what if it was your house? Growing up, it's always, well, what if it was our house? And it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever been a part of.
If you were interested in becoming a volunteer, you can go to any one of the 4 firehouses. One's in Mays Landing. The second one, Weymouth Firehouse, is up off of the Black Horse Pike. Laureldale Fire Company is off of Route 50, right by the expressway entrance. And then Cologne is down on the other side of the expressway behind the mall. Or you can come to my office. I'm in the township, the main building there on 13th Street, in the fire administrator's office. I'd say dedicated. They're dedicated.